So we'll just. I can see that. All right, guys, welcome back. I have a standing mic today, which is fun. Well, for me, but okay. We're gonna begin, and we're just gonna count. Oh, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. No, I'm serious. You want me to wait for you to get up here, or are you gonna be?
Who doesn't have theirs?
Yeah, please raise your placard. So that she can know who you are. Yeah, like that. Except so that she can read it. Yeah. All right. Good. All right. We're just gonna get started. We'll call to order at 6:39 p.m. We'll begin with roll call. Koshing.
Present.
Hugans.
Present.
Price. Cumming. Innes. Sergeant.
Here.
Rana.
Here.
Himes.
Here.
Manfredi.
Here.
Polaris. Blue.
Here.
Bluen.
Here.
Golfin.
Here.
Violet. Sochet. Jardina. Tejada. Alvarez.
Here.
Bergman.
Here.
Bethel. Present. Uva.
Here.
Broccolo.
Here.
Bird.
Here.
Caceres.
Here.
Carone. Yeah, we should have. Yeah, actually, yeah. Can you turn that on? We should have. Thank you. Chow?
Here.
I'm sorry, I missed Chen. Which one was here? Clark?
Here.
Convoy?
Here.
Conrad?
Here.
Ortiz?
Here.
Crook?
Here.
Essick?
He's here. Here.
Yeah, I knew he was. File?
Here.
Ghanem? Hassan? Himes again?
I'm here.
Johnson is resigned. This is an old one, I think.
Yeah, that was like the first one.
Yeah. Jones?
Here.
Clearly we're on top of everything. Khan? Lopez?
Here.
Lakshkarnayagam? Myers? Montini? Munkbat? Ing? Patel? Price? That's Emma. Price? No. Rana? She is here? No, that's yeah. Rana again.
Here.
Rifkin?
Here.
Romanev?
Here.
Saha?
Here.
Schaefer? Shuk? Sinorai? Can't make it. Thatcher? Right? You got that, Neil? No? Alright. Alright. Is there anybody here who would like to be recognized for public comment? Yeah, please state your name,
Kelly Chassie.
and where you're from.
I am the editor-in-chief of the Not My Yearbook.
So recognized. Did you get that? Oh, you can come up to the Can you spell your last name? Oh, no, all the way up. You can come to the podium.
Hi guys, I am from the Not My Yearbook. We are looking to use UConn's new logo on our cover, and we've had a lot of trouble navigating the approval process. And beyond yearbook use, we just feel that it should be something that should be used by student organizations. We are UConn, so as the historians of the university, we feel we should be able to use it, and then as students of the university, we feel that other student orgs should be able to use it as well.
Okay, thank you so much for coming. Would you like to field any questions? Are there any questions for Kelly from the yearbook? Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we move into approval of the minutes. motion to suspend the rules and just table these without going into a vote by unanimous consent? I don't think that's possible. Yeah, to the next Senate. Approval of the minutes. By unanimous consent, so ordered. Next, we move into new business. First thing that we'll do today is the Constitutional Review Committee legislation. That's you, Neil. Get it? Constitution. Oh, you guys can pull out your laptops for this piece of legislation as well. This is going to be the only one that you can use them for. I understand it's hard to track changes and stuff off of the projector. So if you have anything that you want to use, use it.
Okay, so we covered a good portion of it in caucus last week, and we were able to make some good changes based on that. Any changes today have to be made through official amendment. So if we have multiple changes, we'll hold off on making them until we can kind of blanket amendment them all. Okay? So we'll run through it article by article again, just real quick. So Article 1, no real changes, just spelling and grammar. Article 2, membership. We discussed it last week and we made some changes. So one thing we did is that we put a cap on the Constitution. So the Constitution will list the cap in the residential zone seats and the academic seats. But the actual appropriation based on population will be in the bylaws. So that changed right here, Section 7. Point A, representation shall be based on population as outlined in the bylaws. So the bylaws will have a specific section that will address all these issues of appropriation, and the same thing will happen with the schools, the academic schools. Any issues with that? Okay, so on to the next one. Powers and functions of the Student Senate. On Section 3, we've added the Student Senate shall have the power to approve the agenda for Senate meetings and make any alterations to the agenda by majority vote. Once again, to address the fact that the Senate should have power to create its own meeting and agenda, the agenda can be amended at any time at the beginning of the, right when we call the order. So at that time, you can make any additions, any revisions, but it has to be by majority vote, as with anything else. So any questions or discussion on this section? Any questions about it? No? Okay, we'll move on. Okay, powers and functions of the Senate leadership. So this one, we took out Section 3, which formally stated that the Senate leadership would do the agenda. We put that power back to the executive committee, except the only change is now that the Senate has the power to override anything that the executive committee proposes with the agenda. The Senate leadership will continue to be a guiding factor, especially in training and orientation, and overall just running the Senate. We're trying to create a system where there's a more distributed power in leading the Senate. Any issues with this one? Okay, cool. It's nice. Powers and functions of the Speaker of the Student Senate. So we removed the wording that said that the tiebreaker vote would be retained by the Speaker. As per Robert's rules, the tiebreaker vote will be retained by the chair of the meeting. So if the Speaker steps down and the deputy takes over, the deputy will have the tiebreaking vote. Subsequently, every person that steps down, the new chair will have the vote. here, and we were able to kind of shift it into section 3 so that it would be applicable. So that's why that was removed. And then a few of the others were removed and put into the Senate leadership, so that now some of the responsibilities of the speaker are now distributed across the Senate leadership. Such as orientation of new members, fulfilling their responsibilities, creating guidelines, so the Senate operating policies and procedures are also now under the Senate leadership. And also one change that we made is the speaker being able to choose, or being able to nominate the chairperson of the nominations committee. That power now falls with the president to involve more oversight on that committee. The president, as an executive, will appoint chair and the members. The members serving on the committee will be senators of the legislative branch, and together they'll be choosing members for the judicial branch. So we have a better checks and balance, I believe. Anything about the speaker? Questions about it? Okay. Powers and functions of the parliamentarian. So basically, this is just replacing the sergeant at arms. We believe that parliamentarian is a better suited position for the powers and the functions of what this position does. So pretty much the only changes in this were the name, and yeah, it's actually the only changes. Any issues with this? Okay. Powers and functions of the executive branch, just spelling. Powers and functions of the president of the student body. Once again, section 5, we cleared up the language. Section 5 allowed for the president to appoint 2 justices by a 2/3 majority vote of the Senate. We thought that it'd be better that all judicial appointments go through the nominations committee rather than allowing the president to have too much oversight in appointing a member of the judiciary. And then section 9 was just cleaning up language, making it more concise and easier to read. It was regarding ad hoc committees. Section 13 removes the power from the president and gives this power entirely to the vice president, and it's in reference to the termination and hiring of all employees. We believe that since all those terminations, yeah.
Remember we talked about this last week about how this is required to be in there by district policies?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, since I'm,
Full-time professional staff must be overseen by the COO.
okay. Well,
Sorry.
I guess you can keep that.
I can change that, right, since I'm proposing it? Alright, cool. That stays the way it is, alright. Better. Any issues with, the cleaning of the language or the nominations? No, okay. And powers and functions of the vice president, once again, just cleaning up language, making things more concise. Yeah.
I know we talked earlier about including the vice president in on trainings, that way it would be across multiple branches for that to be a consensus on that. We had to make it as,
We can put it in.
I mean,
Fine.
discuss.
So the vice president would be responsible for training all employees?
Involved in it.
No,
Involved.
the training for Senate, along with the Senate leadership,
Oh,
because as it reads, they don't have a lot to do, but this will make sure that they have very specific, because a lot of the stuff in the vice president is very vague. So one vice president could not be involved in it at all, and then the next one could be like doing a lot. And so that Becca had recommended adding in that the vice president should work with the Senate leadership to help plan the trainings. That way, it ensures that the exec is involved and communicating with the Senate.
So, point of information, if,
Yeah.
since it hasn't been motioned, I can make any changes. Yeah. Sure. Put that in.
No pressure on my plate. I can't spell. I'm working on getting the person's comments.
once again, we gave back the power that we changed last week. So they will be the ones setting the agenda, but once again, it'll be up to Senate to be able to change it at the beginning of any meeting. Powers and functions of the chairpersons also remain the same. Powers and functions of the judiciary. So the judiciary article was huge and almost like it was just bogged down with too much information. So what we did is we split the judiciary article into two articles. One to deal with the functions of the judiciary, and the next subsequent article is a brand new article, powers and functions of the Chief Justice. As per the format of the rest of the document, we have the overall body of the particular branch and the leaders. So we figured we'd do the same thing with the judiciary, giving the Chief Justice their own article. So pretty much parts of section 3 and section 6 were taken and put into the new article, along with sections 12 through 17. All of those were also placed into this new article of the Chief Justice. Any questions or concerns about that? Yeah?
Were there any changes during the transition between the two articles?
I don't believe so.
The Chief Justice?
I don't believe so. Now, most of the powers that the Chief Justice had were fairly explicit powers that, they train the rest of the justices. They have certain, they serve as a spokesperson of the judiciary. They have certain things, basically the same things that like the speaker or the president can do in terms of like appointing people, not appointing, but they have a deputy that they can appoint. They have to train their justices. They have to set their agenda for their meetings. So basic responsibilities and powers like that are outlined for the Chief Justice. Any other questions about it? Okay. Election procedures of the undergraduate student government. So once again, some of this stuff was changed with the new membership new membership method. Sure, I'll just go with the method. The new membership method that we're putting forth. So section 1, we removed multicultural diversity in commuter class. Commuter is within the residential zones, and multicultural diversity are now ex officio senators from the cultural center. Once again, section 2, same thing, removal of that for the MCD. And this section 6 basically deals with swearing in the senators, and that it has to be done by the Chief Justice, and just cleaning up the language. It's really just atrocious. Any questions on that? Okay. Impeachment and removal from the undergraduate student government. So the only section changed here was section 5. What section 5 pretty much said was that the speaker could remove any senator from their position, and if there's been 2 unexcused absences, the speaker can remove anyone from their position, and at the next Senate, they would just have to inform the Senate. So basically, we just changed that so that it involves the entire Senate leadership, so there's more people involved in making this decision. And once again, the Senate has, the Senate leadership has to present this information to the Senate, and the Senate can object and overturn the decision by a 2/3 majority. Any questions on that? Okay. Vacancies remain the same. Parliamentary authorities stay the same. Amendments stay the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I know I mentioned this briefly last week, but just to clean things up so that there's just less pages, I thought parliamentary authority might be something we could move under powers and functions of the Senate, and then specify further in bylaws rather than having its own article. Just a suggestion, but
Yeah, I know. The inhibition I would have for that is that it's supposed to rule the entire organization. So it applies to the standing committees as well, and executive committee, whereas this, if you put it just in that article, it'd be limited to the Senate.
alright. Sounds good.
Okay, and then amendments, once again, nothing changed, but just like spelling. And the enabling clause, nothing changed. Constitutional Review Committee to fulfill the task of reviewing the Constitution. Whereas the Constitutional Review Committee has submitted an amended copy of the Constitution with all proposed amendments, modifications, and revisions. Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government adopt the newly revised version of the Constitution of the undergraduate student government at the University of Connecticut.
Senator Gilbert, motions, is there a second? Seconded by Muflack. Are there any questions? Are there any questions regarding the legislation? Yeah. Oh, no? Anybody else? Or anybody in general? No? So now we move into debate. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate? Yeah.
This is very, very quick. For the section in which the power changes to the president to nominate the chair of the nominations committee, could we potentially, I don't know how people feel about it, but change it so the speaker still does that, but then the president gets a veto on those nominations?
I think that's just
No.
so tangled.
Tangled, unnecessary? Okay, I don't care that much. I was just curious. I withdraw my
Yeah.
questions.
Honestly, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Anybody else? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of ratifying this piece of legislation and adopting the Constitution and the changes proposed by Chairperson Ryan, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Totally passes. Congratulations. Big ups to everybody involved, especially Sergeant at Arms Ron. That was big. All right, next we move into our second piece of legislation, our second piece of new business for today, and that concerning the funding of UConn dressage. Who are the sponsoring senators for this legislation? Yeah, huge. I think you're involved in all three of these. Yeah. That's fine. Helen, I just forwarded it. See how hard it is. Just saying, yeah.
What? It's not on your email? Oh, okay, look at it, yeah. Okay. So, an act concerning emergency funding for the UConn dressage team. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the experience of the student body through the funding of student initiatives. Whereas the UConn dressage team competes at nationally recognized competitions. Whereas the UConn dressage team has requested funding to compete at the Intercollegiate Dressage Association National Competition in Virginia in April. Whereas the above-mentioned initiative has a high likelihood of success and bears clear merit to the student body. Whereas the UConn dressage team requests $2,420.94 for travel, hotel, and registration fees associated with the national competition. Whereas the above-mentioned initiative is a Category D application and therefore pursuant to Section 4.3.4.8 of the funding policy, may be funded up to 75% of the original request of $2,420.94. Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government allocate $1,815.71 for the above-mentioned initiative of UConn dressage.
Is there a motion? Give it to Alvarez, second. One of you guys? Alright, Senator Lopez. Questions regarding the legislation? Yeah.
Why was funding not requested during the normal?
You want to answer?
Yes, we will yield to the representative from Dressage Club.
So yeah, it sounds kind of bad, but I will explain it in my best. So technical reason is that the person that submitted the funding application failed the funding illustrator test. I'm the
Sorry,
one
I gotta
that
interject
took
here.
the- And you want to say something?
No, I mean, yeah. Isn't the CFO of our organization also responsible for submitting? Yeah, like, isn't that you?
Yeah. No, so anyways, so the reason why it said I got a 100 multiple times. I took it. But the reason it says I failed is because I'm an admin and it doesn't list the admin scores. So automatically it just didn't count me. So when it translated, it was all automatic. So it had me listed as a user that I actually just wasn't even there.
Do you have a screenshot of that?
You can ask me any questions right now. And then it got complicated because I couldn't really appeal the decision because I'm head of the appeals board. So I thought the best way was to come to present it here so you guys can decide.
But don't be swayed because she is our.
Yeah, please ask away any questions, debates. I don't mind. Yeah, but that's the reason.
She's too nice. Any other questions?
Yeah, for deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
USG CFO failed USG funding mastery test. Go ahead, Senator Essig.
My question was, do you guys have other events you're going to be doing this semester, or is this going to be like?
We do, but because this is a legislative request, I only put internationals, so everything else is going to come out of like team dues and people can pay for that.
Yeah, Senator Byrd.
Is there a conflict with you signing this piece of legislation?
Yes, and I don't sign it. Karen, I'd sign it.
Our Constitution does.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we move into debate. Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate? Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of ratifying an act concerning funding for UConn dressage, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Totally passes. Congratulations to UConn dressage. All right, let's recess for 5 minutes. We're waiting for Bart to come back. Oh, we can go through the reports. Actually, I scratched that. Ungavel. Suspend the rules by unanimous consent to move into reports of the executive. We'll handle this later, whenever I feel like it. By unanimous consent, so ordered. Move into report of the executive president question. He's an idiot.
All right. Welcome back officially, everyone. First Senate of the semester. It's going to be a good one. I'm going to start this off. The most exciting thing that I ever have to do around here and do some appointments to some committees, which will be a lot of fun. First, we are in the process, we being the university, is in the process of hiring a new director of residential life here on campus. For the search committee that's going to be looking at the candidates for that position, I would like to nominate our Kevin Alvarez to sit on that search committee.
We'll do them individually. But which committee was this?
This is for the director of residential life search committee.
Does the nominee accept?
He does.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Yeah, Senator Caceres.
What does that entail, the committee, the search committee? What does he do?
The search committees are fairly quickly moving committees that meet probably 2 times to review resumes and cover letters for positions. They then are marginally part of the interview process, but more broadly, once candidates are selected to come to campus for interviews, there will be more opportunities to, they sort of plan the candidates' day and decide who the candidate, so for this one in particular, the search committee is going to decide that the director of residential life must meet with the upper administration, certain faculty members who are involved in residential life affairs, meet with a certain number of RAs, meet with a student number of regular students who are just general population students, meet with student leaders. So that's essentially what the work entails.
Yeah, one second.
Go ahead.
I was just, if it's,
Yeah,
okay
wait.
with the speaker, can I direct the question towards the nominee?
Yeah, that's actually what that's for.
Just,
Yeah, go ahead.
so, in this process of you vetting out directors of, like, what do you see as an ideal candidate for UConn? I know it's not really a question.
That is a loaded question. I think, well, you have to look at the candidates at the time. I think in my experience with the people who run Res Life, they have a strong commitment to actually working with the students on their needs and their wants, and are actually looking in the coming years in really taking a serious look at the way that we have been doing in our residential areas now, and when we're expanding on the campus, continuing that. And so I think a candidate that really understands that and the growing campus and the growing student body, and is committed to working with us. If that answers your question.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, we move into a vote, or debate, excuse me. Is there any debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of ratifying the president's nomination for the search committee for the director of residential life, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions?
Same.
Motion passes. Congratulations.
Next, we have another search committee. This one is for the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs, also the Dean of Students. It is a position that used to exist here at UConn, but was removed a number of years ago, and is now being reinstated by the Vice President of Student Affairs, Michael Gilbert. This committee is going to be a little bit bigger because the level of the hire is fairly high. So we will have 2 appointees for that, and for that position, I'm nominating Daniel Bergman and Haley Manfredi.
You meant Kaylee. You meant Kaylee.
I meant Kaylee.
It's easy to confuse us. We run.
Very easy. Kaylee Hines.
Do the nominees accept?
Yes.
Move to Chairperson Hines. No. We'll do these together. The vote. That's good. Yeah, she's good. Okay, so the nominees accepted. All right, are there any questions for the nominees? Yes, Chairperson Sardi.
Mr. Speaker, I direct the same question to the nominee. What do you see in it as the ideal candidate? Not for the question.
Literally, Michael.
Come on, let me
I
see.
mean, I don't, do you want individual answers or group effort? Go for it.
Oh, okay. I see how it is.
No, I'll go after you. Go for it.
So someone who ideally has past experience working as a vice president / dean of students kind of thing, who's obviously in touch with the student needs. And
Also someone who's a different experience than Michael Gilbert, just so that we have both sides of the spectrum.
Yes, Senator Caceres.
I have a question for the president. Why did you choose to nominate these 2 individuals?
So these, we were asked to find people for this committee on a fairly short time frame. Namely, Danielle has been very proactive in terms of the way that this committee has come up, and in the short time frame, she seemed like the ideal candidate from Senate. And then after speaking with people on exec, Kaylee was the most available and willing to fill this role with as an executive member.
Any other questions? The nominees. Seeing none, we're moving to debate. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of ratifying this nomination for the search committee for the Dean of Students, both nominations for the search committee for the Dean of Students, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Motion passes. Congratulations.
Next up, I have, this was something that went out in an email earlier this week. Michael Gilbert, again, Vice President for Student Affairs, will be working on a task force to review convocation. Again, that is a ceremony that you go through when you arrive here at the university. As some of you may remember, it is somewhat unceremonious in its proceedings. It's in Gamble, it's not very formal, and he has a vision to try and overhaul that ceremony to be a little bit more special for incoming freshmen to the university. I asked people to express interest for that, and the two that I selected are Josh Essick and Eliza Conrad. Reason being, they are the most recent people who have expressed interest to have gone through that ceremony, and it is fresh in their mind and probably have the most vested interest out of all of us to see it improve. So there will probably be more opportunities for the entire Senate to give feedback on that issue, but the starting committee is going to be a smaller group than the two nominees.
Do the nominees accept?
Yes.
Are there any questions for the nominees? Yes, Chairperson Sargent.
Sorry, guys. Just if you guys could just touch on your recent experience and you had looking on convocation.
I went through it in the fall, and so being in Gamble, it's really like not personal at all. Everyone's kind of just sitting there, not really knowing what's going on. It's right when you get to campus, right when you move in, so it's an overwhelming day anyway. And other schools that I've toured, I applied to 78 schools and toured almost all of them. I know. I'm really indecisive, guys. So, that was a big thing that a lot of the other schools I visited talked about, and how competition was a really important thing, and it was really traditional, and how everyone found it really special in their time at their college. And I felt it was the exact opposite here. So when Ed sent this out, I thought this is something that I really think we should be making something better.
Yeah, and I would just say that when I went through it, I don't think it was that well advertised as well. I think multiple people, and even my parents, we didn't realize that it was actually going on. So I was there with some friends from high school, but it wasn't like an experience I was going to remember after that day. So just going and vamping up a little bit so that when students come, they kind of know a little more what to expect and have something to look forward to.
Are there any other questions for the nominees? Okay, seeing none, we move into debate. Is there anybody who'd like to be recognized for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of ratifying the nominations, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Nay. Motion passes. Congratulations.
And finally, I mentioned this again last semester, Vice President Googins will be chair of the task force to revamp guard dogs. This is a committee that is I'm creating by executive order to begin work immediately, so she'll be sending out a doodle for people who will be involved in that. I only heard from a few people, but essentially that doodle will go out to anyone who's expressed interest, and we'll work on scheduling that as things go on. Guard dogs. All right, so on to the more interesting part of my report. Not much has happened since we've gotten back. Things have been pretty quiet. Usually are in January. It's cold. Everybody wants to stay inside and not do a whole lot of debating about things. However, there is something that I want you guys to know is coming up. The President's Civility and Campus Culture Task Force has concluded their work. That report has been filed in the President's office. Currently, the Cabinet is working on kind of refining what they're going to do with that, and in probably about a week to 2 weeks from now, that full report will be released to the university community, as well as the plan of action for how those recommendations from the task force are going to be implemented. When that comes out, that is going to align with our efforts that we undertook last semester to critique the situation surrounding sexual assault on campus. So our next moves will be largely intertwined with that project the administration is taking on. Something that has been a topic of much discussion in USG in the past, not so much in the fall, but because it happens this semester, it will come up more frequently, is spring weekend. For those of you who don't know, Mark Sargent is a representative on a committee that is basically planning everything for spring weekend. They're not dealing so much with policy as much as the programming. He's been doing an excellent job with that. The USG will be sponsoring several events during the spring weekend period, I guess you would say. It's kind of growing to more than just the Saturday and Sunday, right, Mark? Which I think is a good thing. So that'll be coming up. If there are policy things that we need to take on, I just want everybody to be aware that those will come up. And something that we're going to be doing in collaboration with the police department this semester is having a sort of meet and greet / picnic with the police department. It'll be around the same time as spring weekend, but not exactly coinciding with it. After speaking with Chief O'Connor about this, she felt like this was a great way for the police department to try and build more connections with the community and give some face time to students and officers to improve relations in that respect. Finally, in 3 weeks, USG will be sending a delegation to CASA down at Texas A&M. We're all very excited about that. If you have any information that you want to give to the delegates before they go, please send it to either Claire or I. What we will do is we'll pass it around amongst the delegation. You guys have questions that you want to find out information about other student governments while we're there. We'll put it on a list of things that we're going to try and find out from other groups while we're there. We'll be asking questions left and right and making sure that we get a lot of information and be doing a presentation to bring back to you guys after we return. So that is my report for this week.
Are there any questions for the president? None. So we're going to move back to an act concerning the funding for UConn Thunder Rocks. So, Senator.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got it.
Beat the shit out of this.
This is an act concerning emergency funding for UC Thunder Rocks. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the experience of the student body through the funding of the undergraduate student initiatives. Whereas UC Thunder Rocks has requested funding for the initiative to Be DeVos, a prestigious dance competition held annually at Rutgers University. Whereas the above mentioned initiative has a high likelihood of success and bears clear merit to the student body. Whereas UC Thunder Rocks rescinds funds totaling in $2,079 from the 8-town showdown application in the spring 2014 budget. Whereas the above mentioned initiative is Category D application and therefore pursuant to section 4.3.4.a of the funding policies may be funded up to 75% of the original request of $2,697.90. Therefore be resolved that the undergraduate student government allocate $1,862.27 for the above mentioned initiative of UC Thunder Rocks. Are there any questions for Senator Patel? We got a motion first. Motion. All right, second. Senator Conklin. Are there any questions for Senator Rivkin?
Why was this not requested in the normal budget period?
Are we going to yield to a representative from the team back there?
Oh, yeah, come to the
Hi, my name is G. I'm part of UC Thunder Rocks. Pardon my attire, I wasn't fully prepared for this. But the reason we didn't apply ahead of time was because we didn't hear back from the competition as if we got in or not. And as soon as we did hear back, we put in the legislative request. And we didn't expect to get in because this is such a prestigious competition. Once we did get in, it was like a hooray, so put it in there.
Any other questions? Senator Kyle?
Mr. Agent, what is UC Thunder Ross?
Yeah, so UC Thunder Ross is a dance competition. Dancing team, sorry. And it's an Indian style dance called Ras and River.
Demonstration. Any other questions? Seeing none, we move on to debate. Any debate regarding this act? Seeing none, we move to a vote. All those in favor of the act concerning the funding for UConn Thunder Ross, please signify by saying aye, yay, nay.
Aye.
Aye. Nay? You want the name? No. I don't know how to switch anything. Any abstentions?
Same.
The act passes. Okay, so now we're gonna move back to the reports of the executive with Vice President Higgins.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Okay, awesome. Alright, so I have a couple of things to go through today. First, I just want to thank Neil for all of his hard work on the Constitution, getting it all ready on time. He worked over 40 on this, so this deserves all the claps and snaps. So, thank you so much, Neil, for putting up with my emails. As Ed mentioned, the Guard Dogs Committee, if you guys are interested, I am going to be sending out the doodle later tonight, so get your names in so I can send out the doodle to as many people as possible, so we get as many people's input as possible. And then I have an important announcement from Becca Herman about 2 amazing leadership opportunities coming up. Their 8-week leadership workshop series, sorry I'm going to read this off the phone because it's a lot of info. First is Emotionally Intelligent Leadership, and it's designed to engage student leaders to further your leadership skills. And the other is Impact Delta, and it is for students who have demonstrated an interest in leadership, social change, and social justice. The deadline for both of these is Sunday, February 9th at 11:45. You guys are all student leaders, and I feel like these would be really good opportunities for you to get further training and enhance your skills, so that when you guys come back next year, you guys are even better. So I will forward this out to Shiv, who will send it out to all of you guys so you have all the application information. I strongly encourage all of you to apply. There are amazing programs run through the leadership office. I know Pat's shaking his head yes in the back. He wants you all to apply too. So
I'm in
check
charge
that
of them.
Yeah, so you get to spend a lot of time with Pat. So take that into consideration. Apply. And just coming up next week, we have University Senate coming up on Monday from 4 to 6 in the room ballroom, and I think it's open for guests. So if you guys want to come and experience that, email myself or Ed, and we can help you guys find out where it is, and so you guys can come with us. And then the First President's Athletic Advisory Committee is on Tuesday. So if anybody has anything they want me to bring up at that committee, they haven't sent out an agenda yet. But if you guys do have any concerns regarding athletics and academics, please let me know so I can bring that with me. Same goes for the meeting with Michael Gilbert on Thursday. He's the Vice President for Student Affairs. If you guys do have further concerns, please send me an email so I can bring that to him when we go. And then, last 2 things I promise, this is really long. On February 15th, that's a Saturday, we have tentatively scheduled a training day. It's not a full day, it's a half day, don't freak out. So if you guys could try and keep that day mostly free, that would be fantastic. We don't know if we have a room reserved. Is that?
That's Husky-Thon, so I know a lot of people do that.
How many people are in Husky-Thon? Just raise your hands. Good number of people. Okay. We'll work on it. We'll get back to you guys. And then on February 22nd, Parth and myself are going to the Universidades 21 conference in Sweden. And that's a student leader summit, so it's all of the schools within the Universidades 21 are sending representatives from their student governments to kind of meet and talk about what their schools need and what they want to do together. So this is another thing where if you guys have ideas and how UConn should be involved on a global scale with other student leaders. Shoot Parth an email or myself an email so that way we can fully represent you guys when we go. We want to be fully prepared and be as accurate as possible. So that's all I have for now.
Any questions for the Vice President? Seeing none, we move on to the report of the Comptroller.
Someone who's has to be done, what time do you have to start?
Like
It's an all-day 18-hour
It's
event.
18 hours.
I know it's 18 hours, but I know it goes over at night. When does it start?
Like 5 on Saturday and then dance starts at 6.
It would usually people like accumulate before then.
Yeah, like,
That's a really morbid way of looking at it.
All right.
You have no one else.
That was a compliment. I wanted to take you guys.
Okay, so everyone has the sheet that I handed out, or that Emma handed out? If everyone wants to take that out, just to look at it. There's one correction on it for the fiscal year 14 updated. That number isn't 1.6 million, it's actually 1.5 million, so it's just to take that into account. That's the one correction. So this is what I've been working on and preparing for the Student Fee Advisory Committee. We have our budget presentation coming up in a couple of weeks, which is where every student fee is evaluated. So if you look here, it compares last year, this year, which is fiscal year 14, that's what we're in, and then the projected amounts for next year and the following year. So this gives you a good idea of what we spend all of our money on. Co-sponsorships is line 616, and that's all of funding boards. So you can see the majority of our expenses, like this year, just over $1 million went to funding boards. Next year, it's looking more like 1.1 million. So that's where most of the money goes is to groups, but everything else is USG's expenses on programs, events, and just the running of the organization. The main concern is the bottom, which I scrolled down to, the funds balance, which, as you can tell, is significantly high. But I have been working with Ed on some strategic planning to reduce this cost because as students continue to enroll, the business office gave us very conservative projections. So over in the income for fiscal year 15 and 16, it's going to be higher, I think, than 1.5 million. So we need to be able to prepare what we're going to do with that much money, as we don't want to add to our fund balance, we want to cut into it, and we don't want to keep carrying over money. So we've been working on a few ideas, such as, well, first off, we're renovating guard dogs, and we're going to we're restructuring guard dogs, and hopefully renovating a cottage on Depot campus for storage, which would be really good to maintain our inventory. So if you want to talk to me about any concerns or questions, or if you have any ideas about the budget, please do. And this is due tomorrow, so that's what I'll be handing in, and then I'll be back on track with the budgets committees. And please get me your budgets by the end of next week, which I think is February 7th. So work on those.
Any questions for the Comptroller? Chairperson Sergeant?
Mr. Speaker, if I may direct a question to the comptroller, what constitutes a gift? So I see gift is a large expenditure.
Yeah, so gifts are things, our t-shirts for the ice cream social goes onto there. We have gifts for seniors, which is about $800 total. But the main things is the giveaways, like t-shirts, sweatshirts, those kinds of things.
How does that differ from promotional items?
Promotional items are things that we've given out at, like student development has been giving out, things at the sports events that they gave out. What exactly? Yeah, pom-poms and those kinds of things. And the gifts were things that we were actually giving out to like the freshman class.
Just to clarify that, it's somewhat of an academic distinction between the gifts and the promotional items. Fairly similar. So, if a committee was like, we want to give out something at an event, there's kind of a 50-50 shot that it's either going to be a gift or a promotional item, because if it's for a specific thing and they're going to wear it, it might be more of a gift, but then if it's, for us at least, it's easier to understand with like an organization like the radio station, where they have lots of members, where they may give something. Okay, when we buy sweatshirts this semester, those are going to be gifts. Promotional items would be like stress balls. Promotional.
So the stress balls that actors orders is a promotional item.
Yeah.
But the sweatshirts that we order for ourselves are a gift.
Well, and like the pens and pencils as well as care packages, those are gifts.
My point of bringing this up is that there really isn't that.
Yeah.
The difference between them is.
So how do you determine?
I would have to ask the business office. I don't know that I could.
Oh, so it's the business office. Not you.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Any other questions? Senator Clark?
I'm just looking at this, what is travel?
So travel was guard dog, so that's why if you look at the anticipated expense for fiscal year 14, which is what we're in, it's 80,000, because guard dogs is usually 40,000 each semester, so that actually dropped down to 44,000 because guard dogs is effectively shutting down for a semester. But that's what it's mainly guard dogs, and then also the extra 4,000 was Polska.
Okay.
So conferences.
Any other questions? Senator Estes?
The co-sponsorship, is that just funding?
So yeah, co-sponsorships, that's one way to say, for us to be able to see like exactly what we're giving to groups.
Okay, any other questions?
Just something to add, sorry. I just want you all to be aware of exactly where our money goes, so that's why this is a nice breakdown, but definitely come up and ask me any questions afterwards. I think it's really important that you all know.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to move on to the report of the Chief of Staff.
Just a few things tonight. First, elections are coming up, as hopefully all of you know by now. I'll be sending out an email to the USG listserv probably today or tomorrow, just outlining everything that you need to do if you want to run for a seat in the upcoming elections for 2014. The one thing everybody should know to do right now is that if you want to run, you should submit the declaration of interest form by February 7th, that's next Friday, by noon to the USG office. I have a stack of them here. I'll put them by the door on the way out. So if you want to just grab it, it's the easiest form you'll ever have to fill out in USG. Just do it, hand it into the front desk, and we'll use that info to see who's really interested in running. terms of getting training scheduled and working with you to make sure you're as prepared as you can be for a campaign before you actually start campaigning. So please turn one of those in by February 7th. That's next Friday at noon to the USG office. Next, some of you may have known, over the break, the funding system was down. If anybody's talking to groups, the COOs or CFOs or you yourself are trying to get into the funding system and still can't get in, please email info@usg.upenn.edu. That is fixed, but sometimes we have to enter in a password to get you access. So just send that email if you need anything. We are working on a new website. If anybody wants to check out what it's going to probably start looking like, go to usgwp.uconn.edu. Don't give anybody that, don't tell anybody to go to that site for info on USG because none of it's really correct. But just start getting a sense of what it's going to look like. If you have any comments, let me know or let Chanel, our communications director, know. And this has to be usable by all of you. So if you have anything that you think should be changed or have any ideas, please let me know. Next, President Courchain wanted me to let you know that he will be accepting letters of intent for a bylaw review committee, or to chair one, is that correct?
Right.
See if Neil wants a break. So email him if you're interested in doing that. That is definitely as important as constitutional review. I think there are a lot of ways that you could reform that. And then finally, thank you to everybody who worked at the involvement fair. It was a big help. I know some of these stayed longer than you were signed up for. So thank you.
All right, any questions for the Chief of Staff? Seeing none, we move on to the reports of the legislative.
How's it going? Make it very quick. Big ups for those who came last week, caucus on the Constitutional Review Committee, made today a lot smoother. Next week, on Wednesday, we do have our caucus. It's going to be on legislative funding. We're going to do another training, or Emily's going to do another training on it, just to make sure that the process is as smooth as possible. But it looks like we're getting a lot of it down. This is going to focus more on your interaction with the group rather than what you do in Senate and what's applicable where. The week after that will be a Senate on February 12th, and then the week after that is February 19th. That's a caucus again. That's going to be on the accessibility of USG. That's what that caucus will be on. So we have a couple of obviously big things coming up down the pipeline for Senate. With respect to my external appointments, the Diversity Strategic Plan Committee has a rough draft of the report that they're going to present, but it's not in its final stages yet. So when we have something that's more concrete and formal, I'll have something to pass on to you guys. But that work is going well. Building and Grounds is the other appointment that I serve on right now. They keep canceling their meetings. I don't know if they're just canceling it because now I'm a part of the committee or not. So if only Senate worked that way. So we're going to try and see if we can get in there. I have to still talk to Ed, who I was whispering to you earlier too. But other than that, everything's going well, and make me proud. Any questions? Yeah. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to move on to the report of the judiciary.
Hi guys, really quick, just to reiterate what John said earlier, if you want to run for president, vice
questions to the chairperson? Seeing none, we move on. There's
What time are your meetings this time?
Oh, our meetings semester are going to be Thursdays from 7 to 8, although tentatively I might not have a meeting tomorrow because that's it. So, yes, Mr. Caceres.
What was wrong with the care package?
Personally, I felt and our committee was in consensus committee that it was becoming more of a student emotions event than anything else. And so I'd like to make it more USG centric or Undergraduate centric. So we're going to maybe cut them out altogether, but we're still looking at the logistics of that. I don't know, personally I want to make it more USG, more student centered, as opposed to outside sources.
any other questions? Okay, thank you. Now we move on to external affairs.
Kevin Alvarez, never fails to mention my political affiliations. How's everybody doing? Happy New Year, for those of you I didn't see. Just a very quick report, not much to really cover. It was a good break for me on my end, not too much going on. I was aware of the interview for the Director of Off-Campus Student Services. That's we're in the process of doing that right now. I'll give you guys an update on that soon to be. As President Corshane mentioned about the Spring Weekend Committee, I'll be bringing a full report to you guys. Very exciting committee. You got members from across the entire campus. Very intelligent people. Spring Weekend is going to be a great weekend. Each day is pretty interesting. Each day is themed, so more to follow as the time comes. As far as external affairs goes, we'll be having our first meeting this Friday at the normal time at 1:15. I know some people have expressed that they will not be able to make it to that meeting, so what we're going to do is we're going to have that meeting anyway. We have a couple funds to approve. Sorry guys, it's just because we do need to have a meeting. We need to approve funds for T-shirts because I know my committee and also executives yell at me, players yell at me multiple times that I don't spend enough money. So we are buying T-shirts, and it'll be very nice. It's theme is campus safety, and it's something that I think the committee is very proud of and excited to be working on. And kudos to Sergeant at Arms, or excuse me, parliamentarian Neil Rana for doing that. I know President Corshane can attest to this. It was a 2-year-long process. I mean, when I was a freshman, he was a sophomore, we were on the committee. So thank you guys for approving that. That's a huge work for this organization. And that's all I have. I will report back.
Any questions? Senator Combo?
More to come with that, for sure. More to come. The committee has to approve it.
Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, we move on to how's everybody doing? Alright. Just a couple things. I'll start off first with the nomination to funding board. I'd like to nominate Rishita Jani to the funding board. Questions? How do you accept their?
I accept on behalf.
Any questions for them?
Can you just give a little background of the nominee?
Yes, so I mean, she's been coming to the funding board meetings for the past, she's a freshman, but she's been coming to meetings since they started last semester. Has been an active member since, without being part of the committee itself. So after a semester of putting her work and efforts in, I finally decided to nominate her.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we move into votes. Debate. Okay, any debate regarding nominee? Seeing none, we move into vote. Right? Yeah. All those in favor of the nominee being nominated? Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Can't vote.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. So motion passes.
Okay, so that finally brings my committee to 11 members. was how I had wanted originally. Took a while, but yeah, I got it done. And just a couple other things. Over winter break, as John mentioned, funding board's system did break down, so it was a crisis averted that we got it back up in time. Kudos to John for that. Thank you very much. And then besides that, we had our second disbursement deadline that was on last Friday, the 24th. So we're going to start working on those in the next couple of days and then start allocating funds for all that good stuff. Besides that, we do have our meeting tomorrow at 5:30. I personally won't be there, but Emily will be running that for all of you kids that are here. I better see you tomorrow. I'll Skype in or something. I don't know. But yeah, we're going to be going over some disbursement requests and a couple legislative requests as well. But besides that, I don't have much going on right now, so that's it. Thanks.
Any questions?
What happened to your face?
Okay.
Oh. You should see the other guy.
Okay.
Yes, that's me.
Should I? No?
No, get off the stage.
Okay.
Alright, we're going to move on to the report of student development.
I knew you were going to do it. I knew someone was going to say it.
Yeah, he's got punched.
We should go into a tussle. He had 4 broken ribs over quick.
Okay, so student development has started meeting this week. We're meeting Mondays at 5 in different places. So if you want to know where we're going to be, you have to email me so I can forward John's location email to you, which I will also be doing to my committee tonight. I just want to get it done. Our agenda for this semester includes a very large spring weekend event that's going to be very fun and wait, is he not here anymore?
He's right. He moved.
Fireworks. Yeah. It's going to be in a super special secret location that's going to be a lot of fun. And, in addition to that, we're going to continue working on sexual harassment issues, continue kind of looking into that and trying to improve, obviously just improve the situation on campus and try and create a few campaigns that increase awareness and tolerance and so forth. We're going to be keenly aware of restructuring going on for orientation and hopefully be an integral part of that. We have a lot of plans for how we would like orientation to be run in conjunction with Week of Welcome. We are going to do another thing. Oh, that's what I wanted to do, sorry. I couldn't remember. But it's funny that you're having a picnic with the police. We're going to be doing some interviews with some of the police officers. The chief, deputy chief has shown a lot of interest in this, and we're going to kind of get little get to know you posters or handouts so students can get to know the people who are so interested in protecting them. We have a couple other initiatives that you'll get to know more about as the semester goes on, but that's the big stuff right now.
Any questions? All right, Senator Clark?
Was it you that last semester about the police ride-along that I wanted?
Yeah, I'm talking with Hans. We'll get that going. Yeah.
Chairperson Manfredi, will your committee be taking up the communications, the logo issue that was brought up today?
Yeah.
Comment?
Yeah, we've got a few plans about what we want to do there, but I'm not going to speak to what those are right now, because first we'd like to talk with people like Kyle Muncie and see what they're thinking about as the progression for that. Maybe talk about the Spirit Pride Tradition Council too, and see what they're interested in that. And then after that, we're going to bring together some organizations and have a serious chat about it.
Senator Cowboy?
So we're going to be because we will not be.
So student development is going to be meeting at 5 o'clock in the SOC on Monday. Every week this semester, everyone will be there and welcoming you.
Okay, just another follow-up question. If there are any like conflicts in the future, just from talking to people today, a lot of people are interested in just going to committees. And for the most part, I told them that they were going to be in the conference room. So could we do something where like wherever committees are going to be that week, if they're going to be switching around,
Yeah.
put it at that front desk so we'll know where they are. There's already
Yeah, I think the new website was launched today, right? It's up and you can see it. So each of us have a block. No?
Website is not live, it's just for you to go look at.
Oh, yeah, we'll use that.
It'll be on the new website.
Any other questions? No, we move on to. We're done.
Okay, so clarification, student services will be meeting on Thursday at 5 p.m. So Thursdays at 5 p.m. We are not in the SOC conference room because some committee cannot be flexible with me. So we will be meeting
It's funny, boy.
we will be meeting in the student union for 16.
416A.
416A. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was 416 or 419. 416A every week.
That's upstairs.
It is on the fourth floor. Okay. So again, I'm just going to reiterate this because people are still confused. It is Thursday. Thursday, the fourth day of the school week. All right. Perfect. Moving on. Our committee last week approved finally the $12,000 to go to Wi-Fi in the rec center. Currently, right now, the university is still looking for a contractor to install and get that up and running. I do not have any further updates on that. The quote that was originally given to us went way up once we told the contractor that we were in. So we're looking at another contractor currently right now, and I should know by next week what the quote is on that. Also, this semester we are going to be working on things like the basketball ticket lottery. Get excited. Also, counseling and mental health. We didn't really touch on health services last semester, so we're going to be looking into that, things that we can do with that. Always dining. If you have any ideas with dining, just let me know because they're very receptive and they will probably change most things if we ask if it's reasonable. Also going off of that, congratulations to my vice chairs. They did get their goal accomplished from last semester, which was to put up like a divider up in Putnam between the gross dish disposal trash area and the dining room. So there is a wall up now. I know that it's still smelly in there, but at least it's not like filtering out into the dining space. It's like guarded by that wall. I don't know if you've been to Putnam lately, but there is a wall. If you have any other ideas, even if you're not in my committee, that pertains to anything services, just let me know. I'll put it on the agenda. Other than that, when are we meeting?
Thursday.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow next meeting.
Questions?
What did the original company explain to you why their quote changed from what they originally told you?
I do not know because I wasn't in that meeting. It happened over break, and I wasn't here.
Cindy, who was in that?
It was Sylvia. It was. I don't know if it was a meeting or if it was a conference call, but I know that certain things went up. I don't know if it was equipment or price that went up, but overall price went up by a fair amount. Yeah.
How much did it come up by?
I can't remember off the top of my head. It was a couple $1,000. I think I don't think I'm gonna say that because I don't know.
Alright, any other questions?
hot mic president question. Maybe the day again.
Anyone want to be recognized for discussion? Any announcements?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I forgot to do this during mine. Claire forgot to do it during hers. Next Wednesday is a caucus, that's February 5th, just went over that. After caucus, conveniently, there is a leadership accelerator located in the Student Union Theater from 7:30 till 8:30, maybe a little bit later. SUBOG is putting this on, and it's a really great opportunity. They want us to go. I know most people, like I'm going, Claire's going, Ed's going, and we should go. You guys should all go because he's tailored it to student leaders. So he's going to be bringing a lot of relevant examples to help you guys produce tangible results with your leadership skills. And he's supposed to be really phenomenal, so it's really great that SUBOG was able to bring him in for us. I can't remember his name right now. I'm really sorry about that. But it's next Wednesday after caucus. We'll probably announce it at caucus too, 7:30, Student Union Theater.
I'll post it in the USG group on Facebook so that you guys can see the events.
Okay, any other announcements?
Yeah, can we do USG basketball game?
I'm so down for that.
Here we go.
Let's go. Let's sports, guys. Team building.
I'm tired.
Alright, adjourned at 8:03.